Hey there, and how are you today? My name is Carla. I'm an adult doll collector, and you're in my hangout. And today we're in, well, I guess a loft. And we're going to get ready to make this sectional sofa. I'm very excited about showing you how to do it. I think it came out quite nice, and I want to introduce, make something a little different than, what else is out there, because there are a lot of really great tutorials, and I encourage you to check those out as well. But today we'll be making this couch and a pillow. You don't want me to show you how to crochet. Trust me on that. Yeah. Let's get started. You will find the pattern in the beginning of this video, and I also will have it on my blog spot so you can download it. So let's get started. See you. All right, so let's get started. Now, of course, you'll need some kind of a measuring implement. I use this. I love it. My measurements are in centimeters rather than inches. For myself, I find that it's more precise, but you're obviously welcome to use whichever. You'll need a pair of scissors, something to mark your lines with, and something to cut with. So I use this utility knife, and before we get started, we're going to do what I usually do, which is I'm going to show for if there's anyone out there who's intimidated by changing the blade on this, on a utility knife, this is for you. And if it makes it even easier for even one person, it's worth it. So what you're going to do is you're going to slide out the blade. Then you're going to push down on the button on the top. And I know it seems counterintuitive to push down to release, right? Because it seems like it's going to hold it tighter. But nope, you push down. So I'm going to push. I'm going to carefully pull out the blade. You're going to need some glue. You can use hot glue or, Elmer's glue. Whichever kind of glue works best for you. There we go. I made a rhyme. Yay! You'll need some kind of shade of paint at the end. It'll be for the bottom of the piece, so it really won't matter what color. And the glue I'm going to be using is this 3-in-1 glue. What I like about this is it sets faster than other glues, but slower than hot glue. So you have more time to wiggle things around if you want to. And another thing I like about it is even though it doesn't set as quick as hot glue, but you don't have to wait for it to finish drying before, to continue working. You can keep working. I really adore this stuff. Now, here are the plans. I will have them uploaded to my blog, and I'll also have photos of them and post it at the beginning of this video, so whichever way works for you. This is actually going to be 3 pages. So page 1, we have the main seat, which is, I just call it the main seat. And then the second seat is the one that's meant to kind of go sideways to it. So I call it main seat and second seat. And you're going to want cut 4 foam board, one piece from leftover packaging. That's what I use, but you can use, it isn't a must. It's just what I prefer to do. But if you don't have leftover packaging, it isn't going to ruin your product. All right. So you should be okay. And some kind of cushion. I'm going to use sponges because, well, they're nice and easy. And so both of them require 4 foam board and the same amounts. So like for this one, here's the foam board, and as you can see, it fits in right there. And then the second seat, oops, I can do this, I promise. Fits in so. And I have it again listed by centimeters and an inch. So when you print it up, just measure to make sure that the copy you have has it at a centimeter or an inch. You're going to want to cut 4 pieces of fabric at 24 by 16 centimeters. You'll probably have to trim off some of it, but this gives you enough. You're going to want 1 piece of fabric at 20 by 19, 1 at 19 by 10 and a half, 1 at 19 by 11 and a half, and then 5 at 3 by 10 and a half. So it is a bit of fabric, but you know, yeah, that is what it is. On the second page, marked as page 2, these are for the backs and the sides. So this is the back of the sofa, and here are the sides for this other sofa. You'll notice I have lines drawn on them, and I have the lines dotted there. When we're putting all this together, you will not be putting any fabric or anything below these lines. You'll be starting at the line to put the fabric on. So, and you're going to want 3, 3, and 3 for those. And then here's this. Now this is you're going to want 5 of these. You can use more leftover packaging, or you could also use, hang on, let me find them. I just put them somewhere too. There we go. Or like for this, I'm actually using cardstock, and 5 of them. This part doesn't have to be incredibly thick. It just needs, you know, so the reason I'm going with white is because if I use something that has the brown, it's going to show through, and I don't want it showing through, right? So we have that. And then I have the measurements for batting. So you're going to cut, if you're going, and again with the batting, you don't, I'm using felt, like so, but you don't have to. I find aesthetically it adds a little extra touch that I can visually see, and it makes me happy. But it is not a requirement, okay? You could skip this. So if you don't have any felt or anything around, it will not ruin your piece, okay? So so the parts that you could skip, I'll let you know you could skip. But if you decide not to, it's one piece of felt will get you all you need. So I have 1 at 18 by 16, 1 at 18 by 7, and the other at one at 18 by 7.5. And then on the last page, we're also going to have, what I'm doing is to go on the bottom of the sofas to kind of clean up the whole look. And again, I'm just using leftover packaging. So here's the bottom for the main sofa. And then here's the bottom for the secondary sofa. This part is optional. You do not have to do it. I'm doing it, and this is the part that you will paint if you know, and you don't even have to paint it if you don't want to. That will be up to you. Lots of options, you see. Another thing, now I'm going to be trimming my my sofa with some hemp cord. I'm going to actually be using the gray one this time. Again, not a requirement, but I think it finishes things up really well. I also cut off a large strip of fabric, and when it's all finished up, it's going to be about 2 centimeters wide, okay? But if you don't want to do this part, you can, if you want to trim your sofa with something instead of doing that part, because you're kind of sick of working with fabric, you can do that. That's what I did here, is I trimmed this sofa with, okay? So you have options. For the legs, you can use like wooden beads. Like even that size would work. You can use dowels on here. Here's some wider pieces if you want. You're better off looking for something that's wide rather than something that's narrow, because it's more likely to stay in place. So this is you can use these. If you happen to be lucky enough and you have some pieces like this that you can order off of Amazon, you can use these. Getting the idea, right? And if you just have dowels on hand, you can use dowels. This would be my last option, but you can use them. Now, what I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using something from in here. I'm going to be using these because they look neat. I'll be including a link to Amazon if you decide to get them. They're very inexpensive. So you'll need 8 of these. So yes, I've had these hanging around for a while for some kind of project, and I just hadn't decided which one to use it with. But anyway, so that's what I'll be using. So you have options. And I think on that note, we should get started. Are you ready? I'm ready. Now, hopefully, now what I did is I pre-cut everything ahead of time. So everything's cut out and ready to go. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to glue these. And I'm going to use my handy dandy 3-in-1 glue. For other parts, I'll be using hot glue. So just going to kind of squeeze it on. I'm going to be careful to make sure the part that has the line is on top. So, and I'm just going to kind of take the other piece and I'm just going to kind of swoosh it around. And then do the same thing here. And then you just keep gluing. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my sponges out, and I'm going to tell you one thing that's very important on this piece. You want to make sure you have it where you're putting things on at the correct point. You can see them, there we go. So you want the cutout to be at your upper right corner, okay? Be at the upper right. Because that's where these go, okay? So make sure your corner is here. Okay, so now we're going to take your 2 pieces, the one that's marked 16 by 7.5, and then this one that's shaped like so. Make sure you have it up. Okay, we're going to do this one first. So I have my sponges, so I'm going to put a sponge on here. And as you can see, it doesn't quite, it goes over a little bit. We're going to cut away that extra sponge because you definitely don't want to leave it. The reason I'm going with a sponge is because it will make the corners look a little sharper. And see, I'm just kind of making sure this all fits perfectly, so I'm going to trim up a little. All right, so we have that part, and now we just need a little bit more. But I'm going to glue this part down. And for this, I am going to use some hot glue. And you don't need a whole lot, but you know. Before we put this piece on, I'm going to work on this part a little bit because, you know, so I have this one. Ignore these lines. These are just mistakes of mine. So these lines here, they don't mean anything. Just so you know. Oh, see, I went and told you a mistake I made. But I think in this case, though, otherwise you would have been wondering, well, do I need to make those lines too? What are they for? And, you know, save you some trouble. Then I have a little bit more. So. The reason I do it this way is that way I just have a small part of a sponge to put over here. All right, and you know, we're going to put these aside. Now, this part, if you've cut some batting, this is the part we're doing. If you didn't cut any batting, then you could skip this part. All right, and if you do want to do kind of do this, but you don't have any batting, you can, you know, maybe some other material. It just gives a little extra. It just makes it look a little more like it's, you know, cushiony with the batting. But it looks fine, but it's fine without it if you decide to go without it. I'm going to add my line of hot glue right along the top of this line. I'm going to take this and I'm going to place that right at the line. And forgive the cat hair, you know, I've got cats. Then we're going to pull it, and we're going to pull it over to all the way to the bottom of the other side. Now, if you want to add glue in other parts on this, you can, but you don't really need to. And I'm going to cut off this extra. Okay, and we're going to do that with the other two pieces. And for the batting, try to have it right at the edge. If you're going to have any overhang, let all the overhang be on the other side. Right. we go. We got the batting taken care of. So right now we're taking care of the most tedious parts first, because why not? Speaking of tedious, let's take these little white ones. Hopefully they're white or light color. Unless you're using a really heavy fabric and you can't see through it at all, then, you know, use whatever. But my fabric isn't as heavy, and so you know, I don't want it to be dark coming through. So you're going to take your bits of fabric. You should have cut 5 of these. And I'm going to put just a little bit of hot glue on that. I basically I want just enough to hold it in place, like that, just enough. Then I'm going to put, again, try to do as thin a line as you can. And try to smoosh it down as much as you can. You want the idea is to have this be as flat as possible. Now I'm going to kind of fold this like so. Add a touch of glue to that. And I'm going to, whoops, fold it over. And if you have a little extra like I do there, I'm just going to trim that off. And do the same thing at the other side. And just kind of try to smush it down again. And you're going to do that with all 5. This is the most tedious part. If you get through this, you're golden. Okay. When you're done, they should look a bit like this. Okay, and we're going to put these aside. And now, the previous couch I made, the sponges were actually white. And this time my sponges have color, and looking at it, it's like, I don't want that showing through. So I cut out a little bit more felt. Let's assemble the couch. Wait. Let's put the coverings on the couch first, right? See, I got ahead of myself that time. Right, so we're going to start with the back of the main couch. And again, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue down on the top of this. And your fabric will go over on both sides. And you want that, okay? Don't want to go over a lot, but you do want to go over. There you go. And then you're going to pull it around. Now you do not want it coming down in here, but what I do want though, I do want to fold it up starting from here. So I'm going to draw this line. And I'm going to try to carefully hold it. I'm going to put just the teensiest bit of glue down to hold it in place. There. Now I'm going to finish pulling it over. And what that'll do is it'll make it so you don't have the raw edges on the bottom. And then on this part, I'm going to cut at the corners. Do that both sides. And we're going to fold it in. Like so. And if this looks like it might get a little bit of an overhang, so I'm going to fold it a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I just don't want it to come over to the other side. There we go. Then you fold this part down. And you do that on the other side as well. Now we have the one that's 7.5 long, and you notice that one is slightly bigger than the other. That's on purpose. All right, those are all done. And now we're going to take the main seat. It doesn't matter, you can start with one or the other. And before we start folding, I'm going to fold this over just a little bit. Once again, I don't want to have any raw edge on that. So this is going to be to the back, and we are not going to put any fabric on this part here, okay? So we're going to take this right to the edge. I'm going to glue that down. And you will have some overhang on both sides, and you want that. And you're going to pull it around. And we're going to fold these parts down. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue in each corner here. I'm going to pinch the corners like so. I'm going to glue that down. This part, I'm going to trim off the extra on this. We don't want it going over the edge. All right. And do the same thing on the other side. A little bit of glue in each corner. Then pinch down, pinch down. Look how nice and neat that is, huh? Isn't that slick? Okay. All right, now this one's going to be handled a little bit different. Now remember that you want the fabric to be showing on the top, so make sure you have this down correctly. So when you do it, make sure that you have the cutout so it's up in the corner, like I have it. And this one's going to be handled a little different than the previous one. So what we're going to do here, first of all, I'm going to kind of little dab of glue to keep it in place. Now, we don't want any fabric here, here, or here. So I'm going to cut out. I'm cutting away from it, not quite right on it, because we're going to be folding up some of those ends so they don't, so again, you don't have the frayed ends showing at the top. So first of all, I'm going to kind of take this, now that I know it's here, and I'm going to hold this till it's about like so. Then I'm going to glue that down. have that one ready. So I'm just going to pull one over this side. This is going to be folded differently than the first ones. Now we have this one. And remember to put the fabric on the part that has, you know, so the fabric needs to be, this is the top of it. Now, this part is thrown me for fit. So what I'm going to do is I have some extra, little extra piece, and I'm going to first of all kind of glue that in there. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but I don't know, maybe I'm tired, but I just can't seem to think of it. So I'm doing this for one. And now I've cut a line on here, and I'm going to fold this back a little bit. And it should have been a straight line, but it isn't. But I'm not too worried about that part of it. Fold this back. Do the same thing on this side. And you want just the smallest little folds again that you can. There you go. You might want to do some touch-up if you need to. All right, so now we have that in place. So what I'm going to do now is pull this part over. Yeah, I can't stand I can't handle the unfinished edges. So you don't have to do this part here like I'm doing this. I have to do it though, because otherwise it's going to make me more crazy than I already am. Well, that's saying something. I'll move this over to here. There we go. Then I'm going to bring this over again, hold it up. This is the actual end of the fabric, so that is not going to be an unfinished edge, so I can live with this part. this is the more narrow one. We have the two bottom pieces. Here's the narrow one. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these two pieces, and the wide piece that's a little wider is going to go up at the very top. So let's glue that down. Bring it all the way to the edge, like so. Tell it's about like this, okay? And we're going to take this one, and I shouldn't have had fabric on here. That's right. Oh well, we can live with it. And we're going to glue this into here. So I'm going to glue it to the bottom. Put some glue on the bottom. A bunch of glue on this side. And we're going to put that so it makes this nice corner, okay? And really kind of snug them up together. We have these. We're going to take these. We're going to put one over here. Now we're going to put the base in. So we're going to glue these sides. And the bottom. And just kind of snug that right up in there. And I'm going to kind of tuck some of that fabric that I see. I'm going to tuck it down in there. And then I'm going to trim off this excess here. And then here's the bottom. So I put this on the bottom, that way you don't see all the little connections like that. I just think it looks a little cleaner. And then we put on this. See, and you can see it fits on nicely. Let's put together the other one. So first of all, we're going to put this down. I'm going to bring it all the way to the edge. We have that part. Now we have these. Put one on here. Now we're going to take this part. See the part that's a little less? That's going on the bottom. So this is going against tear. So snug that right in again. to use elephant gray. And I'm going to paint this because while the paint is drying, we can take care of another couple projects. So we won't be sitting still while we're waiting for it to do its thing. And it doesn't have to be perfect at all. I just like it that way, no matter what part of the project you're looking at, it can look finished. So while this is drying, I cut a very long strip. And on the bottom of my strip, I made lines for I think it's every 2 centimeters. Let me double check that. Yep, 2 centimeters across. What I'm going to do is, I already pre-pressed this, but I'm going to fold this down both ends all along the way. So I'm just going to take a little bit of, again, hot glue. Now you don't have to do this step, but I think it will make your piece look more polished again if you do. So but it's up to you. Okay, so this one looks mostly dry. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to bring it all the way over to this. And I'm going to glue it. And this is another part. If you want to, you can skip it, but you don't have to. I want to do this part because I think it'll look a little nicer. And I'm trying to decide which gray. Do I want to go with that? I think I might go with that gray. I'm going to go with this one. Now I'm going to start is I'm going to put some of these, I want to glue down in the corners here, like so. So I'm going to put just a teensy, this is, you know, a little bit of glue there. And it's okay if it comes up, you're better off coming up a little high on it than a little low. Okay, so once you get that on there, trim it off. Go to your next corner, do the same thing. All right, and here's how this one looks. It's time to put the feet on, and this is where you've got to decide what kind of feet you want to put on. Are you going to use, you know, are you going to use a large bead, or, you know, whatever you're going to use? I'm going to use those claw feet. I will definitely be including a link that you can get them from, and it will only take a few days for them to arrive, so they won't be hard to get. Okay, so let me get mine out. Okay, so I have them out. One of the things I like is the base that you're going to connect to it is larger, so you have more of it that's going to, well, stick to the furniture. So I know that has places for screws, but we're not going to be using that. I'm just going to add some glue, and I'm going to put it down so it's facing forward. Do the same thing with the next one. This way. So anyway, yes, what I really like is, you know, once they're set and they're already set, is you're not going to have them like wobbling and maybe coming off later or whatever. And remember, I have to add an extra little oof to it, and they're not expensive. Like I said, I will be linking this so you can see. Just keep remembering to put the, put them toward the front. I went too far over on that. There we go. Let's make a few pillows. So I have this pattern. I think it'll look nice. And I already have some other throw pillows that are, it's like this dark gray and this kind of a, I don't know, muted brown, but they go nicely with this. So I thought I'd make a couple pillows with this. And so this piece is about 20 centimeters by about 20 by 8. 20 centimeters by 8. And we're going to do this a super duper easy way. You don't even have to get out needle and thread. We're going to cheat and we're going to use hot glue. So I'm just going to start from the halfway point on this. And I'm starting with the good side. It's like this. And I'm going to push this down and I'm going to really press it. I'm going to add a little bit more. Try to go in a straight line. Then add a little connection here. And again, kind of really push it down. Now you want to leave a gap because you can't put the pillow stuff in if you can't turn it inside out. So I'm going to start from this side now and just have a little bit of glue going just a little ways. And again, just pushing it. Then I'm going to cut off the corners. Careful not to go, not to cut to where the glue is because I don't want to, have a gap. Now let's see if I left myself enough room. Okay, I did, so I don't have to use tweezers. And now I'm just going to pull it the other way. Okay, and it'll probably look somewhat like this. So then you find your opening, and I'm going to take a paintbrush and take the top of it and start kind of pushing out the corners. Go, then go to the other side. Right? And then I'm going to stuff my pillow. It isn't perfect, but you know what? I'm fine with that. So I just have some of this stuff. I'm just going to kind of pop it in. Because it's going to go on a couch, I don't want them to be super, super full. So I might not even use all this. But I might. I don't think I'm going to add more to it. Once you kind of put that in, then you're going to kind of poke through the corners with it. All four. There we go. Swish it around. Then I'm going to pull this tight, like so. I'm going to kind of push it, put down on my table. And then I'm going to very carefully lift up the open part. And then glue that closed. There, voila, a pillow. And you can make as many as you need for your couch. So I think I ended up, I have 7. But yeah, I like it. Well, that's the end of this video, and thank you for stopping by. I do hope you had fun following the tutorial. I hope it was pretty easy and clear to follow. But if you like this video, please hit like. If you're a subscriber, thank you very much for being a subscriber. And if you're not a subscriber, well, what are you waiting for? I have a subscribe button. It's red. It says subscribe. I'm really helpful like that. And it's on this side, and all you have to do is just boop, and there you go. And now you're a subscriber. My subscribers are the best people in the whole wide world. I'm not just saying that. Facts are facts. Please comment down below. Let me know what you thought of things. Now, if you take the time to comment, I will take the time to answer. And I also just love hearing from you guys. If you have any questions, please definitely post them in the comment section, and I will do my utmost to answer those questions for you. Sharing is caring, and maybe there might be another person looking for yet another tutorial on a sectional couch, because yeah, I know that there are quite a few out there. Hopefully mine is a little different, you know, everyone's is a little different, so hopefully, you know. But anyway, I do hope that you like it, and yeah, so go ahead and share it. Now, I don't know what time it is for you, whether it's morning, noon, or night, but I do hope it's fantastic, because you deserve fantastic things. And now I'm out of here. You have a good day, and bye.